Hi guys, Game Talk Benfica against Ajax Champions League. Marc, 2-2. Look, you have different types of draws, right? You have the draws in which good draws, good ones, and you have the other ones. So which one are you leaning to?
Leaning a little bit more negative just because we were winning twice. So I think that leaves a sour taste in everyone's mouth, because I think we know that not only were we winning twice, but we had two or three, certainly two very, very good chances to go up by 2 goals, which I think would have probably been enough to win the game in this context. It's also a tough one to analyze also because in basically every other Champions League season, this would have been a very good result. You get 2 away goals, you bring that back to Amsterdam and you feel pretty confident. But obviously now with no away goals, it doesn't really mean much. 0-0, 1-1, 2-2 doesn't matter. So because of that, it's also not, necessarily good news that we scored a lot of goals and also conceded a lot of goals. Because usually in an away game, I actually kind of like this type of style that we played, where it was a little bit back and forth. And even though we conceded, more chances that we normally do, it also allowed us to create a decent amount of chances and score 2 goals. But unfortunately, it's a new system and new rules. And I think we probably, particularly after going up 2-1, we should have been way, way more conservative, sat a little bit deeper, not pushed as many people forward, knowing that, an extra away goal doesn't matter as much as it used to. Let's calm it down a little bit and protect that lead a little bit more. We didn't do that. They scored, but end of the day, you were saying, is it positive draw, negative draw? It's still a draw. We go back home. If we get the job done, we advance. So still confident, just not as good as it could have been.
Yeah. So look, like you said, you touch upon so many things already. For me, the thing that struck me the most, look, first half, we were pretty okay. But the second half, what happened there, according to you? You said it a little bit. We went a little bit attacking, but it seems like we opened up so much. And it was happening over and over and over again. And this thing that I don't understand, but maybe you can tell me what you think. What I don't understand is that there's nobody, apart from Ten Hag, right? He can maybe do something, but it's very hard when the game is already happening. But nobody like in the team says, guys, let's do it a little bit different. Let's sit back a little, let's organize a little bit, and then go from there. For like 20, 25, 30 minutes, it was open the whole time. And not only that, the thing that's most sour for me also is that Ten Hag was looking and about to bring in Tagliafico and Klaassen, and just before he was doing the substitute, we conceded that second goal.
Yeah, it was tough. I would have to watch the game again to know whether it was either option A or option B in terms of what I think happened in the second half.
Yeah.
So the first, potential option, I think, is that maybe Benfica changed tactically a little bit in order to sit a little bit deeper and really focus on counterattacking down Blint's side. Yeah. Because they particularly got in with Rafa down the right-hand side numerous times in the second half. And in the first half, it didn't really happen. So I'm not sure if that just was a little bit coincidental and maybe they just weren't able to capitalize in the first half like they could in the second half. Yeah. But it certainly seemed like in the second half, they were taking advantage of the counterattack more. So maybe at halftime, they did some tactical changes, nothing that I could really perceive just watching it, as an emotional fan and not really worrying about the tactics too much. So that is potential number one. And I think potential number 2 is just that we got a little bit too excited. The game just, the atmosphere heated up a lot. And you saw that with like Darwin Nunez, like tackling Lisandro Martinez super hard. Yeah. You saw Anthony and Darwin Nunez getting into it at the end with like little headbutts and stuff. Yeah. I think the emotions got the better of us and everyone just got very excited. You saw Timber going on huge runs, towards the middle of the second half for no real reason. Lots of players just pushing forward, maybe excited, wanting to grab a third goal to really, ice the game at 2-1. So maybe it was just the mentality of the players and the game itself that just meant that it got away from us. Maybe it was a little bit of a tactical tweak from Benfica and focusing, on that Blint side of the field where it's, significantly less pace than on the other side of the field. But whatever happened, we very much should have seen that developing, because before the goal happened, I know you just said we were about to make a sub. my brother texted me and he was like, Tagliafico has to come on for Blint very, very soon. And that was in maybe minute 50. You could already tell how the game was going and that they were getting a lot more joy on the counterattack.
Yeah.
I think Ten Hag should have seen that coming sooner. I think something I always criticize, maybe a separate point, he's kind of slow with his substitutions. He generally thinks that his setup and his structure is correct. I think he should have recognized it. It was a pivotal moment in the game. They were starting to really threaten us on the counterattack. Adding Nico earlier, I think would have helped a lot. And I think he actually, when he came on, I know they scored, so the game changed a little bit, but I think he did a very good job of solidifying that side of the field after he came on. But yeah, I think it was a little bit of maybe being too naive, some of the young players getting too excited, and then potentially also a slight tactical tweak from Benfica if there was one. But yeah, second half just got away from us.
Not only that, I mean, you're touching upon, of course, Blind, but also I was very scared that Berghuis, who escaped a couple of times, he could have had that second yellow card. So I was also thinking maybe he will sub him out, for somebody else. But let's touch about one thing I want to talk to you about is the midfield. So Ten Hag, prior to the game, he switched it up a little bit. So he used Gravenberch, and prior to the game, they asked him why he chose for Gravenberch, and he said basically he's very press resistant. He can stretch the opposition wide, and not only that, but he knows how to go box to box and these kind of things. What do you think of his performance? Do you think also it was a good idea? Do you understand Ten Hag's? I mean, it's always easy to reflect back, but at that point, did you understand going into the game why he chose for this option?
Very much understand it, and I think in Champions League games in particular, you want your best and most technical players, because these games are won in an instant. And even if they're not having the best games overall, one moment can really make the difference. And I think you generally get more of that from Gravenberch than Klaassen. And I know Klaassen, he is kind of that, he defines that in a way because he doesn't do a whole lot. And then somehow he finds a way to score a goal. But it's easier for him to do that in games that we really dominate. So it's like we're putting a lot of balls in the box and he can make runs into the box. That's not really what you're going to get in a Champions League game like this. So I don't think Klaassen would have made much of an impact at all, to be honest. I don't think this was...
Yeah, don't you think that because Klaassen will go as number 10, then Berghuis will play the role of Gravenberch? Because what I saw happening in the first half, Berghuis didn't really touch anything almost. He had that assist to Haller, but he didn't really, his best things is having the ball, passing, speeding up the play. But you didn't see him because of the 10 role that Ten Hag plays, basically. So that's the debate.
Yeah. Yes. So I think you can definitely make that argument that Berghuis was less influential than he could have been because of Gravenberch, playing in that position. But if it's up to me, and again, hindsight's 2020, but I think he did make the right call. I would rather have my two more technical players in midfield in Berghuis and Gravenberch than only playing one of them. And I don't think Gravenberch was bad by any means. I thought he had a number of, pretty nice plays, a couple that almost led to goals. And I thought he was fairly active overall. I think it would be harsh to really say, I'm sure you'll see it on Twitter because people have been hating on him big time recently. But he certainly wasn't any worse than anyone else on the field. I thought a lot of players were, below par in general. So I don't think it was... except for Mazraoui, I think he was probably the most consistent throughout. Antony in general was also pretty good, but hot and cold. But yeah, so I mean, I'm fine with the decision to play Gravenberch. I thought he did fine. Could have been better, like everybody else. But I understand why Ten Hag did it. Maybe would have just made a change a little bit earlier once we saw we were kind of losing our grip on the game. But just in terms of understanding that decision, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So final question I have, and I know you already said it's very fresh, you have to see the match again, but as things stand right now and how you feel, do you think you have a positive feeling going into, the return game in Amsterdam with our own fans?
Yeah, I'm still very positive. I do think that we showed enough in this game to have no fear of creating lots of chances. I think if you look at expected goals, I checked right before the end of before I jumped on here that I think we were at 2.2 and they were at 1.6. So we were creating a lot of chances. I mean, Haller has a tap in from a yard out that came to him a little bit quickly, but if that goes in 3-1, entirely different game. Mazraoui has basically a not a 1v1. It's a tough skill, but you know, a
Alvarez,
chance,
rebound.
a chance that you expect him to score. The Alvarez one was a good chance as well. So we were creating lots of chances. So I don't think offensively there was anything that I was too upset with. So I think we go home to Amsterdam, even more comfortable environment, fans behind us. We will create chances. It's just, can Ten Hag in the 3 weeks that we have in between recognize what was happening in transition, and can we sort it out? And whether that's making sure that Blint is more tucked in centrally and doesn't push on as far forward, or is that replacing him altogether and you play Tagliafico because he's much faster, he's much better defensively. But end of the day, we have to solve that Rafa problem because he's a very good player. And I remember when we played them in the 2018-2019 Champions League group stage, he caused us a lot of problems as well, even back then when Tagliafico was playing at left back. So we just need to figure that out. Look, it's a Champions League knockout game. Benfica are here for a reason. They beat Barcelona in the group stage to advance. I know it's not Barcelona of old, but you know, they're still pretty good. These games are not going to be easy. You know, they're going to be very fine margins, but overall, I thought we were better than them, which is a good sign. And we didn't even play, in my opinion, you know, even like 50% as good as we have in, you know, many of our Champions League games. So I know we have a higher gear to get to. We have another gear to get to. Going back in front of the fans, still got to be very confident. So I think we'll get it done.